Hello and welcome to another episode of ADDEV Materials Bold Entrepreneurship. In this episode, we're with Matt Webb, General Manager Aerospace USA, Robert Waddell, General Manager Aerospace UK, and Julien Duvanel, co-founder of ADDEV Materials and General Manager Aerospace and Defense Group. And today, we're going to talk about the COVID-19 crisis and the post-pandemic recovery and growth peak in the aerospace and defense sector. Matt, Robert, Julien, hello.
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 Hi.
First of all, Julien, as we said in the introduction, you're the General Manager of the Aerospace and Defense Business Group. Can you explain us how ADDEV Materials entered the aerospace and defense market?
Well, ADDEV Materials' strategy since its beginning in 2006 is to offer high-performance materials with high added value on high-technologic markets with a long-term vision. So the aerospace and defense market gathers these three elements: high performance, high added value, and mainly long-term vision. We were already acting in the aerospace market, but we decided to listen and follow our main customer's vision to reach a critical size, to be more international, with a comprehensive service and product offer. So this is why in 2015 we acquired DMEX, which is now named ADDEV Materials Aerospace, a company based in Toulouse in France, specialized in the distribution and custom packaging of the chemicals products for the aerospace. Then in 2016, we at ADDEV Materials acquired VMS Aircraft based in California, now named ADDEV VMS, which is dedicated into the distribution of chemical products for the aerospace and defense market in the US. And then in 2019, we complete our international footprint by acquiring 4 companies, 2 of them in the UK, PEXA and PSG, experts in paints and coatings, and also 2 other companies in the USA, NPAC and ZipChem, specialized in chemicals custom packaging, surface treatments, products, cleaners and lubricants. So all these acquisitions allow us today to bring the market a cohesive distribution, converting, custom packaging and manufacturing offer to all aeronautics, space and defense actors.
So as you said, in 2019, ADDEV Materials acquired PEXA and PSG in the UK. Robert, you're the General Manager of the Aerospace and Defense activity in the UK. Can you tell us more about your career before ADDEV?
Yeah, sure. I started my career over 34 years ago, having joined PSG in 1989 as a sales manager, selling aerospace coatings for the OEM structural subcontract market and the defense coatings for military assets. I wanted to broaden my knowledge and career, so I left PSG in 2001 to join the world's largest coatings company, AkzoNobel, as a sales manager focused on the UK MRO and aircraft refinish markets, where I was pretty successful in getting major airlines such as British Airways and EasyJet to specify materials both on their new build aircraft and in aircraft maintenance. In 2004, I moved with my family to Thailand to join AkzoNobel Asia Pacific team, where over the next 13 years I helped build AkzoNobel to be the number 1 coating supplier to both the OEM structural market and supplier of choice to all major airlines. During this incredible time, I held positions as regional sales manager, went on to be technical sales director, and then finally general manager. I left in 2017 and joined the world's largest aircraft refinisher, IAC, as key account director, and I helped manage their painting facility based in Singapore's Changi Airport. And just before that, I rejoined PSG back in the UK as general manager in 2018, which was just before the acquisition of ADDEV Materials in 2019.
In 2019, ADDEV Materials also acquired NPAC and ZipChem, and Matt arrived in 2021 at ADDEV Materials to take charge of the brands as the general manager of the Aerospace and Defense activity in the USA. Matt, the same question as Robert. What is your background before ADDEV?
Well, I started my career in aerospace 22 years ago as a mechanical engineer at a company called Martest, which is a materials testing facility in Cincinnati, Ohio. And that's where I really got my first exposure to aerospace OEMs and aerospace quality systems. In 2010, I joined GE Aviation, in Cincinnati as a repair engineer, where I spent time specifying the materials and processes used to return aircraft engine components to service during MRO, maintenance and repair operations. Shortly after my former company was acquired by Element Materials Technology, I joined Element as general manager of their facilities in Cincinnati, Minneapolis, and Toronto. And after 5 years there, I got tired of the rain and the snow in the northern part of the United States and moved with my wife to Southern California, where I managed the global laboratories of ITT Cannon, which is an aerospace electrical connector manufacturer. And that brings us to 2021, when I met Julien and Pascal and joined ADDEV Materials as general manager of their Aerospace and Defense North America facilities.
As we said, these several acquisitions were made in 2019, just before COVID. Julien, how have these entities been impacted by the pandemic? How did you survive in 2020?
I think it's important to keep in mind that with all these acquisitions in 2019, we multiplied by 4 our sales turnover to reach at least 60 million euros just for the aerospace and defense activity at this time. But in 2020, everything stopped. Lockdown. First in France, then in the UK, and then in the USA. It's important to know that the two big markets in the aeronautics are the business trips and the leisures. And we no longer had the right to travel. The big players, such as Airbus and Boeing, and the other subcontractors reduced drastically their activity. The production was divided by 2, sometimes more, and we managed to survive thanks to the MRO markets that corresponds to the aircraft maintenance, just because it is mandatory to maintain aircrafts that do not fly. So we still had a lot of activity to follow, fortunately. And as I'm used to say, in every crisis there are opportunities, and we had that chance to have some products, such as the Cala 1452, an aircraft disinfectant that was very, very effective against the COVID virus. All the things combined contribute to maintain our activity at a certain level.
Can you tell us, Robert, have you been impacted the same way in the UK?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. COVID had a seismic effect on our business in the UK because the aerospace industry literally ground to halt in the second quarter of 2020. So we as a management team were quick to react to the situation to ensure the well-being of our company, our employees, and all of our customers. However, we were also successful in promoting our non-aerospace products during this time. For example, we saw large increases in sales of our EMI RFI shielding coatings that were used in the manufacture of medical ventilator machines. We also made a fantastic use of this time by physically merging PSG and PEXA to create a single business entity, which is ADDEV Materials Aerospace Limited.
And Matt, was it different in the USA in 2020?
Well, the US really had a similar story to the UK. Ampac's usual business with our normal OEM customers decreased pretty dramatically. But at the same time, the pandemic created new opportunities. So while many fewer air travel customers were flying, airlines were very busy trying to figure out how to keep those flying customers safe. This drove a huge increase in sales of our disinfectant products like Cala 1452 and ADDEV 7127. And at the same time, we were able to strengthen our business with our healthcare and hygiene customers. For example, we increased sales of a specialty lubricant to a manufacturer of medical testing equipment that really grew dramatically during the COVID period. And we strengthened our cleaning solution blending and packaging program with a manufacturer of custom dental devices.
And for you, Julien, was there a rebound in 2021? And what about 2022?
Well, we were definitely waiting for it, of course. We finally saw no big rebound in 2021 just because it has been very difficult to restart this big machine with large players. There was a lot of inertia. The recovery expected in 2021 finally arrived in early 2022. So a ramp-up that arrived later than expected, but much more important, and that generated supply chain issues and therefore deliveries issues. But maybe Matt and Robert, you can add something on your respective countries?
Yes, 2021 was really a period of very high optimism and energy. Every client we spoke to felt that their business was just about to return. But as we could see, it did not happen. What did happen was a really big disruption to our supply chains. Suddenly, materials that we were normally able to get within days or weeks were taking months to arrive to us. International shipping was also pretty significantly impacted. Normally, ocean freight shipments that would normally take 30 days or less were taking 120 days or longer, which impacted not only our ability to bring in materials needed for production, but also our ability to get materials and finished products to our customers.
Yeah, we had a similar issue in the UK. The recovery expected in 2021 did not arrive until early 2022. However, the industry was just simply not prepared for the ramp up in flight operations and the OEM production, combined with the disruption in the global supply chain and subsequent delivery issues. This was compounded in the UK and the EU by the unforeseen after effects of Brexit, which also led to disruptions to the supply chain and a slowdown in cross-border trade.
In your career, Julien, have you already experienced a similar situation?
A kind of. Subprime crisis in 2008 and 2009. At this period of time, ADDEV Materials has already shown resilience. ADDEV Materials is not focused only on one product, only on one process, or only on one market and one country. ADDEV Materials' adversary is the global crisis because it affects all products, all markets, all countries. We had a financial crisis in 2008 and a pandemic in 2020, and despite that, we managed to get through it thanks to our multiple activities, international footprint, and diversifications.
Matt, in the USA, how did you ramp up the plans to meet the new demand with the rebound?
Well, our first challenge was to address the global supply chain disruption. As I mentioned, normal methods of managing inventory were no longer sufficient. We really had to work closely with our distributors and suppliers to make sure that when we could get materials, we secured enough of them to sustain our production for the long term. We worked closely with our distributors and suppliers to negotiate safety stocks. And in a lot of cases, we increased our own inventories to levels above what we would normally hold. Some of our manufacturers did not survive the pandemic, or if they did survive, they had greatly reduced capacity. And so we really used this time to qualify new manufacturers and really try to make our supply chain more local wherever possible. We also saw during this period a great increase in the rate of our hiring. And this really forced us to look closely at how we were recruiting, training, and retaining employees to make sure we remained relevant as an employer of choice in this new market that was suddenly much more competitive than it had been in the past.
And Robert, in the UK, how did you manage to supply issues around the world?
Well, in early 2022, we reacted to the new world situation that we found ourselves in. And so we employed a new supply chain manager to assist us formulate a really robust strategy to overcome the global supply issues. Subsequently, we worked very closely with our key supply partners to provide really detailed forecasting, and we invested heavily to double our stock holding in all the critical product lines in order to minimize risk of stock outages to our clients. The net outcome is that we significantly outperformed our supply partners, and we constantly delivered to our top clients an OTIF performance of 90% plus.
Julien, how do you keep up with the strong demand today?
Well, I like to say that in crisis, there are opportunities. We definitely took advantages of this time of low level of activity to integrate new acquisitions and prepare for the recovery by working on our organization to better answer the increasing demand of our customers. And I have to admit that our organization is working well today, even if our main challenge remains in finding talents with the right profile.
What is today's situation, Robert? And do you think that the crisis is over?
No, the crisis is not over yet, as we have got new issues to deal with. However, the market has changed from that of a state of recovery to that of growth, and we expect to end this year in line with our pre-pandemic business levels. We still face supply chain issues. There's raw material inflation still, and there is the cost of living crisis to overcome. And human resource talent is still very difficult to find, not just in the UK, but all around the world.
As for you, Matt, what lessons do you draw from this experience?
Well, really, there's a great benefit to being part of a group. Everyone around the globe is facing new challenges, and having a larger and more global team makes finding solutions to these more certain. And as we say, individually, we can go much faster, but together, we definitely go farther.
And Julien, how do you see the future of ADDEV Materials in the aerospace and defense market?
Well, I see it very promising. The market is there, the volumes are there, and the future will be good as soon as we follow our strategy that meets the needs of our customers. We definitely want to be more and more customer-centric. We have found our positions with a comprehensive services and products offering to major manufacturers, such as Airbus, Boeing, and others, and operators such as the airlines. Well, definitely we are dedicated to the distribution of chemicals products, but also the converting and custom packaging of chemicals with our brand NPAC, and the manufacturing of specialty products with our brand Zipchem. So we will follow the same rule, that's the right products in the right quantity, meeting the sustainability challenges of the moment, which is key. Our reason to be is being a global company that acts locally with plants where the market needs us to be in order to deliver a local service.
Yeah, I guess that's really, I like the term global reach with a local touch. I mean, for example, we have a new team in Asia based in Singapore and in China, and they can provide local players with really good recommendations and on our product offer and also excellent technical support.
That's really very important. Our most strategic customers act in this way. And so to truly partner with them, we really need to do the same.
Thank you, Julien. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Robert. And thank you for being with us. Join us very soon in a new episode of ADDEV Materials Bold Entrepreneurship. Do not hesitate to submit to our podcast channel and follow us on LinkedIn.